At a time for Money Power Politics, President Trump is officially suing J.P. Morgan and its CEO, Jamie Dimon, for allegedly debanking or closing his accounts after the January 6th attack. Trump and his business entities related to him are seeking at least $5 billion in civil damages, claiming the debanking was political. In a statement, J.P. Morgan denied that claim and said the suit has, quote, no merit. It comes just days after Dimon publicly criticized Trump's policies on both immigration and the idea of capping credit card rates. Here now to discuss, Brendan Greeley, contributing editor for the Financial Times, and Justin Wolfers, professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan. Justin, let's start on this. I worked in banking for a long time, and one of the core tenets, one of the most important regulations when you work in banking is something known as KYC, Know Your Client. And if a bank cannot explicitly detail and explain who the client is, where they're getting their money from, what the money is being used for, they are on the hook in a big, bad, nasty way. So what in the world is the president doing? Because there was a lot of unclear information right around January 6th. Nobody even knew where the money came from that funded it.
I mean, what the president's doing is making headlines. I've not talked to anyone tonight who takes this remotely seriously. And here's the tell. He's suing for $5 billion. Now, just imagine the damages from not being able to use your bank account for a couple of weeks and having to try a different competitor elsewhere instead. The damages, if you're someone worth a few $1 billion, couldn't possibly be everything that you're currently worth. What is this? It's a distraction, getting you and I to talk about it. And it's probably also a shot across the bow at banking executives generally and Jamie Dimon in particular.
But, Brendan, this isn't about what J.P. Morgan did post-January 6th. Jamie Dimon is one of the few, not just did Jamie Dimon earlier this week say we have to be tough on the border, which he has said before, and he was unhappy with how Biden handled the border. But he said what ICE is doing is un-American. The idea of capping credit card rates, that's only going to hurt the American people because they're not going to be able to extend credit to people with lower credit ratings. And the other thing that Jamie Dimon did a few weeks ago, he was one of the few CEOs that said, no, thank you. We're not going to be cutting you a check for $20 million large for the East Wing of the White House, because he said 4 years from now, the government could turn around and sue them for corrupt practices with the White House. Isn't that what this is all about?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this lawsuit. Primarily, Steph, he's not suing for damages. He's suing for leverage. This is what he does. This is what lawsuits are for Donald Trump. They're leverage. There's a couple things going on in there. One is, yes, obviously, if he sues, he distracts Jamie Dimon, it's leverage to discourage Jamie Dimon from saying things that Donald Trump doesn't like. It's really important for the audience to understand just who Jamie Dimon is. He's arguably the most important financier since the original John Pierpont Morgan. He steered the bank through the global financial crisis, is sort of a legendary risk manager, and is trusted on Wall Street as a voice. It's hard to come up with anybody who compares to him in terms of reputation in the banking industry. So if you can get him on side, then you can get the rest of the industry on side. There's a lot of evidence that the entire financial industry is cowed by Donald Trump. We have reporting from Davos that they don't want to say things out loud that make him uncomfortable. But in addition to that, when you look into the details of this lawsuit, I read it this afternoon, he's also trying to launder a very old Republican accusation about debanking. So this is an unsubstantiated idea that banks are going after Republicans in particular to end their bank accounts. You pointed out it's very important in banking to know your customer. There are a lot of reasons why you would want to end your relationship with somebody who poses a reputational risk. The incident they're talking about, the debanking that happened when actual accounts were closed that belonged to the Trump family, was on February 19th, 2021. This was right after January 6th. It's a very obvious reputational consequence to what Donald Trump did.
Okay, can we just talk about this point that you made about self-censorship? Jamie Dimon is one of the few CEOs, right, who have been outspoken in terms of he's been complimentary but also critical of the president. And Bloomberg has described we have entered this era of self-censorship under Trump. Here's the thing that gets my goat, Justin. So many of these CEOs I spoke to during the last election, and they said they were being stifled by wokeness. In the age of DEI, they could not express themselves, okay? These same CEOs now are scurrying out of the Trump speech in Davos saying, I got to get to the toilet, because they're unwilling to give an honest answer when they're watching our president of the United States stand on a stage, spread lies, and insult other countries. How extraordinary is it that these people who pride themselves on standing at the podium being outspoken leaders, the cat got their tongue?
I mean, this really comes all the way back to what's your theory of capitalism. And I know that sounds highfalutin there, but really the way we've always run things in the past is the government sets the rules, gets out of the way, and then it's up to the players to get out on the field and compete. And what this bloke's decided, this bloke being Trump, is that what he's going to do is he's going to be out there bullying individuals so that they're going to do things his way. As a result, it is in their individual best interest. Each of them, we've seen university presidents, we've seen lawyers, we've seen CEOs really just walking away from, I think, the social responsibility each of these folks have. It's individual cowardice. It's individually profitable. If you want people to criticise the president, look what you've had to do, Steph. You've had to come to a tenured academic, a bloke who can't be fired, or a journalist, Brennan, who's fantastic. But the point about Brennan is he gets paid to be obnoxious. Neither of us are responsible for making payroll for 1,000 people in a big, tall building that would be
and that's
under
why
risk.
it's tricky.
And the risk is absolutely real. Yeah.